The name Kara comes from the Japanese word karaoke. It means empty orchestra in Japanese. I really love that idea of an open space for people to express themselves. And in a similar way that karaoke is somebody else writing the music and you sing it your way, I like the idea of creating products that people can wear however they want. My name is Sarah Law and my brand is Kara. I started off as a handbag line, but now it's more of an accessories brand. It's really tied to my background of growing up in Hong Kong and being half Chinese and half American, really having this relationship where I had to find my own identity because particularly with my dad's family, I always remember as a kid them reminding me that I wasn't Chinese, but that I'm really American. And that when I would go to the States to visit my mom's family in the summertime, they'd often remind me that I wasn't American and that I'm Chinese. I think there are many people in the world that have that experience of multi-layered identity where you're not just one thing, you're maybe this mixture of things, or maybe even the way you grew up feels different than the person you've become as you've gotten older. I was always very interested in creating an open space for people to create their own identity and talk about who they are as a person outside of stereotypes. When I design, I like product that's very simple. Maybe there's still something remarkable about it, but there's simplicity to it. And the product can be worn on a lot of different types of people, a lot of different styles. Something I like to say is that you should wear the bag shouldn't wear you. And when I think of fashion, I see it as an extension of a person's expression or their identity. I don't think of it as something to cover up who you are, or I don't actually think you can use fashion to hide what your personality actually is. I just want people to feel more like themselves when they wear my product. I just love this idea of elevating everyday objects, things that you see all of the time, really appreciating small moments in the day. That's, I think, a big part of my inspiration is looking at practical objects, everyday objects, and finding a way to make them special. The bike chain styles, which are a big part of the brand and the collection right now, were inspired by the bike locks that cyclists in New York wear. There's always been something about the brand that's been, I would say, maybe more on the sporty side and maybe not so delicate and not so refined or necessarily formal. I loved the idea of playing with a material that seemed like it really was the opposite of what I had been doing so far and finding a way to make it work with the brand message and the look of the brand. Or the way the brand had been built out over the last few years. Our branding always tends to be very understated and small, and it's the details of the bags that I'm always focused on. And how did they tell a story or how did they create a feeling? Usually it begins with a lot of sketching, just doing different research on different details and materials to kind of bring all the pieces together. It's sort of like a puzzle in the very beginning. We start by making paper and fabric mock-ups. The next steps along the way are just prototyping. I've been in business for 7 years. We launched August 2013. The process of running a business is really intensive because, for me, I went to art school and my vision was to be a creative director and really use the brand as a platform to be creative and express myself and express my creativity. But you obviously learn really quickly from running a business that there's so many other aspects. Selling the product, there's marketing the product, there's creating all the content related to your product. And then, of course, there's running a team, managing a team, straddling those worlds of doing what I really want, which is the creative part with running the business has been one of the biggest challenges, but also I would say one of the best lessons and some of the most exciting parts when you get that right. In the last year and a half, we've been really interested in designing products that can be fit to more people. So including men and women, and maybe also not thinking of the product as so specifically genderized. A big thing for me in the next few seasons is really to work on that idea and to continue pushing the boundaries between products that are not clearly a bag or clearly a garment and really give people more room to play with how they use them. My advice for young creatives is to really stay true to what you're interested in. I don't really believe in this idea of natural talent. I think that people who are really successful work really hard at what they do and they don't give up when things get tough. They keep pushing through until their ideas in their head actually match the final product. To really build your skill and your craft, it takes a long time. And I think people underestimate the work that goes into that. From the beginning, when I started my brand, I wanted people to feel like I was creating a space for them to just be themselves and not feel like they're being told who they're supposed to be or how you're supposed to fit in.